Hello all, welcome to TechUcity. My name is Abhijit and you are watching part 1 of JShell tutorial.
So what is JShell? The Java Shell tool or JShell is an interactive tool for learning the Java programming language and prototyping the Java code. JShell is read, evaluate, print loop, also called as REPL. A REPL is a simple interactive program typically on your console or command line which takes single user input like an expression, evaluates them and returns the result to the user. Remember, a program written in REPL environment is executed piecewise. So a lot of people ask the question, why use JShell? Using JShell, you can enter the program elements one at a time, immediately see the results and make adjustment to your code as needed. Now in any programming language or in Java programming language, if you specifically talk, the typical program development phases are you write the code, you write the program, you compile and fix the errors, you run the program, you figure out what's wrong with the program, you edit the program, and the process continues. So how does JShell help you in this process? Well, using JShell, you can try out your code, explore options as you develop your program. You can test individual statements, try out different variations of a method, and experiment with unfamiliar APIs. This is typically true for the beginner users. The users who are just beginning with Java, JShell can help them a lot. Well, does JShell replace IDE? And the answer is not. JShell does not replace an IDE. Using IDE, you can develop packages, you can write long programs, you can develop a full-fledged working program. However, JShell does not replace the IDE. JShell is just meant for quick experimentation. Some line of code which you just want to try out quick, you don't have to go through the entire program and you can just execute that line of code quickly on JShell. Now as you develop your program, you can paste that JShell code, try it out, and then paste the working code again back from JShell into your programming editor or whichever IDE that you use. Starting and stopping JShell. In order to enter the JShell, enter JShell at your command prompt. The moment you enter JShell command, you should see a welcome message from JShell, like welcome to JShell and whatever is your JDK version. Remember, JShell is available only JDK 1.9 and onwards. If you are on JDK 1.8, JShell will not be available to you. In order to exit the JShell, press /exit and press enter. You should see a goodbye message from JShell. Snippets.
JShell accepts Java statements, variable, method, and class definition, import and expressions. These pieces of Java code are referred to as snippets. Snippets of Java code are entered into JShell and are immediately evaluated. Feedback about the results, actions performed, and any errors that occurred are shown to the user. To get the maximum feedback, let us open JShell in a verbose mode. In order to open the JShell in verbose mode, provide -v option. -v or verbose option will tell JShell that give as much as possible. Now, as I've entered JShell, I should see the welcome screen. There you go. I've seen welcome to JShell version 12.0.2. Just as a reminder, JShell is available JDK 9 and onwards. Now I am in my snippet mode. At this point of time, I want to enter some Java code. Let us begin with some variable declaration. Int x is equal to 100. And JShell tells me that it has declared a variable of type int and assigned a value 100 to it. Remember, these feedbacks like created variable x of type integer are coming because we are using JShell in verbose mode. If you note, the ending semicolon are not mandatory, but since they are optional, there is no harm in giving them. For example, int y is equal to say 45 and I put a semicolon equal results. It says a variable y is created of type int. If you don't declare the named variable like I declared x and y, and you just perform a random expression, let us say 2 plus 3 for example, JShell will evaluate it and will give and assign a variable. These are called scratch variables. In the example 2 plus 3, here JShell evaluate the result and assign that result to a scratch variable $3. Now if I want to know what $3 is, I will just enter $3 and it will give me the value of $3. Now these variables are there for the purpose. For example, if you want to use this $3 in any future statement, you can do so. Let us do another operation. So I want to do 10 plus $3 and it should give me the result 10 plus $3, which was 5, and the result is 15. And see, it has already given another scratch variable $5, and it said so that created scratch variable $5, which is of type integer. As you experiment with code, you might find that the definition of a variable, method, or a class isn't doing what you want it to do. The definitions that you had already declared earlier in your JShell session can be easily changed by redefining your method or a variable, and the new definition simply overrides the previous definition. Let us create some methods here today. So I want to declare a simple method which is going to print something on the screen. So let us say void method called as say hello, and I am just passing a string type of parameter to it, and I will say name, and I start my curly brace. Look, the moment I started the curly brace, JShell now understand that I am in a function scope, or any scope as a matter of fact, and it is now waiting for me to complete the scope. So let us print something. I completed my function scope definition by entering the ending curly brace. Now if I have to call this method, I can simply do so by typing the name of the method. So say hello, and let us pass the parameter, the argument to the method as it is expecting, and I am passing my name as the argument to the method, and the ending semicolon are optional, but we are entering here. So say hello, and it printed hello. As you noticed, when we created the say hello method, it said created method say hello. Now I don't like this definition. For some reason I said, okay, it's not doing what I wanted it to do. So let us redefine this method and say void say hello again, and we'll retain the same parameter to it. So string name, we'll start the function scope, and at this time I'm going to say hello plus user's name, and completing the function definition. Now JShell already understood that there was already a definition of say hello with string parameter, and now when I recreated the same definition with the same signature, like void as my return type and string name as its parameter, it understood that the definition already existed, and it now is saying me that modified method say hello string. So let us execute our newly created method say hello again, and this time I am passing again my name as the parameter, and now it is printing hello Abhijit. Forward references. JShell accepts method definitions that references methods, variables or classes that are not defined yet. This is done to support exploratory programming and because some form of programming also requires it. Let us declare a method called area of a square. Here we declared a method area of a square which takes one int parameter called side and returns the value calculated by square method. My function definition is created, but look, it says created a method area of square which takes int as a parameter. However, it cannot be invoked until method square is declared, sqr. Let us try and call this area of square and see what happens. Here I called the method and JShell understood that this method cannot be executed. It is saying attempted to call method area of square which cannot be invoked until method sqr is declared. Now let us declare this method sqr. So int sqr. So I declared int sqr which takes int as a parameter and returns the num multiplied by num. In a nutshell, it is returning me the square of the value passed. Let us see once our function is created, our method is created. Now let us call our area of square again, this time again passing the value 10, and we should see yes, it calculated the value area of square. What happens when the code that I have written throws an exception? Well, in order to try, let us purposefully create a method which is going to throw an exception. Let us create a method which probably is going to throw us a division by 0 exception. Here I created a divide method which takes two parameters x and y of type integers and returns the division x divided by y. Let us complete our function definition. So we see that the function divide is created. Now let us try and call this method divide. We'll pass two parameters 5 and 0. We know that when we pass 0 it is going to throw an exception. Let us see what the exception backtrace shows us. JShell says to me that an exception of type Java lang arithmetic exception division by 0 was thrown at divide £6 :2 and at £7 1. Now what is this £6 :2 and £7 :1? Now in order to look at the definition of the £6 :2 and £7 :1, we can invoke the list command and see what the list command gives us. As you can see, the list command gives us the list of all the methods that we have declared so far, or all the variables that we have declared so far, and for each method it has assigned a value. So id 6 was given to the method declaration int divide xy return xy, and id 7 was given to the method call that we just made, and as a result the exception was first thrown in id 6 at line number 2, and then it was surfaced to id 7 at line number 1. By default, if you just call the method, the ID number would be the ID of the method that JShell gives, and the line number would be 1. Tab completion and snippet transformation. Let us create few more methods to have some fun with JShell. Let us create another method called int div. I just want to keep this method as a placeholder method, so I'm not providing any body to this method except for the return statement, because my method demands a int return. There, I created a method named div. Now, if you do not know the list of methods that we have created so far, you already know that you can always use the list command, and it will show you the list of all the variables and methods that you have created so far. Like in case of the current shell, you see that ID 1 to 13 have been assigned to all the methods that we have created. Now sometimes you do not remember the names, but you partially remember the name, like initial few letters, or initial few characters of your method. And if you do not remember, that's okay. You can use JShell's tab completion to get the list of possible options. Like, I want to execute some method which starts with div, and I tab out. Here JShell is prompting me that there are two possible options. One, I can either use the div method or I can use the divide method. This happens when JShell cannot resolve the letters div to a method definition. But if I type divi and then do type, JShell now knows there is only one definition that matches divi, and which is divide. I complete my brace and enter in order to execute it. Since I did not pass the parameters to it, it is throwing an error to me. In addition to the tab completion that we just saw, JShell also offers a feature called as snippet transformation. Now JShell makes it easy to import a needed class when it is first referenced, and we can convert it to an expression or declaration using keyboard shortcuts. You don't have to do an explicit import. For example, I am trying to create an object of new JFrame. Immediately after new JFrame, I know that JFrame is not imported. So I am pressing Shift Tab followed by I, and immediately JShell prompts me to take some action. It is saying 0, do nothing, or 1, import Java X swing JFrame. At this point of time, I am selecting 0. I don't want to import this. So if I would have selected 1, JShell would have imported the class javax.swing.jframe. Now sometimes you want to convert a quick expression into a method. So let us declare some variable here. Let's see how we can convert a quick expression into a method. Int x is equal to 100, and I want to evaluate an expression x is equal to x plus 1 semicolon, and at this point of time I am pressing Shift Tab followed by M, and look what, JShell immediately converted my expression into a method like syntax, and it has given me the return type, it has given me the parenthesis to pass the parameter if I need to, and the cursor is moved to a place where it is asking me to give a name to my method. So let's just give a name to that method, my meth say, and there my meth is completed. Similar to Shift Tab I and Shift Tab M, you can quickly create a variable for anything that you want to declare. For example, I am just creating an object of string using string class, and I will say my name to it, and I'm pressing shift tab V, and it converted it into an expression like string. It's asking me to give a name to that variable, so I'll give my variable is equal to new string when we passed my name as the parameter string, and a variable named my variable has been created and a value Abhijit has been assigned to it. This ends part 1 of JShell tutorial. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like the video and don't forget to press the notification icon. See you in the next video.